Get to a fun conversation, shall we? So, I mean, where do I even begin? There's so much going on with Switch 2. It's been a wild and crazy week. Let's start with how about a fellow YouTuber? How about a guy who's been very successful in Switch Up? He has a nice little video here that I can show you guys. Let me go ahead and mute it. He got his hands on what appears to be a 3D printed prototype. So not like from Nintendo, but like the accessory maker, Ivoller, right? Ivoller, something like that. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it. Sent him this prototype you're seeing right now. The whole idea was to promote the Switch 2 case and all of that. Obviously, get people thinking, "Hey, we want to trust this company with our case purchase for Switch 2." They're probably for sale now or for pre-order. There's a ton of accessories for pre-order right now. We have more to get into because some wild stuff going on out there. But what's interesting about this is it kind of gives us, assuming that this is correct, which you have to go with that assumption to even have a conversation, because this is clearly based on like CAD files or something that they were given to make their accessories. They 3D printed this thing. They were asking content creators. Some donation was asked, apparently. Possibly. I wasn't asked. Damn it. Anyways, no.
And so I passed up on it. Damn it. This could have been.
I think Arlo passed up on it too. I think he said he was asked to, and he passed up on it. This guy didn't. And congrats to him. His video is blowing up as it deserves to. He did a really good job. He's not someone who does all these Switch 2 content. So like this is a really big deal for him to see. Just the interest level in Switch 2 is so high. 100,000 plus on his video. It's probably even higher now. So he gets this thing. I'm going to go through this whole video here and just look at it. What's fascinating, of course, is we get our first real size comparisons, comparing it to things like the Switch OLED, right? Because all the size comparisons we have, like screens and stuff like that, we're always like, oh, we're just looking at it compared to the base Switch. Well, this is what it is right here. And what I find interesting, just even pausing just for a second, is every single thing we see on this thing lately has white Joy-Cons.
It's interesting.
I find that very interesting. It's always white.
And I feel like it shouldn't be because that's what they launched the OLED model with. Is the only thing.
It's weird.
You know what I mean?
Like
it's
their
just
last
too
new
close.
system was white.
Yeah.
So then starting with white, but then maybe their idea is, but we want it to look different, but still stylish than the Switch 1, like the OG. But it just kind of feels like, but like kind of, will people confuse that with the OLED? By the way, the packaging is not going to be confusing. They just call this Nintendo Switch 2. It'll be very obvious what it is. And I'm starting to think that might actually just be the name. But just looking at this like general thing here, the biggest thing you can see is I don't know if this company knows the screen is going to be like this big a bezel. I think that's interesting to see. It's got that more of that edge-lit bezel, kind of like the OG Switch for the LCD. That might make some people upset that we're hoping for like mini LED or something. But I don't know if they know that information or if this is just what they stuck on. They're assuming there would be that nice big bezel. We've seen the two buttons again, the square and the circle, with the C on it. Do you guys have any theories on what the C is for? Because we kind of have a capture button already.
I think
it's still
C
there
is for capture. Is that not the home and the capture are on the same side?
So home button is on the right. No, home button's on the right and capture's
on the left currently. Yeah, so that's an additional button. I've thought about that. The only thing that I've really thought that might make sense, and it doesn't tie to the C, if it's actually C on the label, unless if that became the capture button and then the one on the left,
the other one, yeah.
So let's say the other one is maybe like there's, how on a PlayStation controller you have a microphone, and maybe we're gonna do online chat for the first time on Nintendo Switch Online. Who knows?
Yeah,
but if it is there at a system level, I could see it being like a mute button if there's a microphone built into the Joy-Con. But I don't know that we've really seen that suggested for sure. So that's the only idea. I don't know what else that button would be, the additional button.
What if it's a back button? Like a universal back button. So we're no longer using...
You know what I thought it could be for? A sub menu for quick resume. If they add that feature in.
That would be nice.
I mean, I know they could do that with other buttons, but like some of the games use plus and minus.
That 12 gigs of RAM.
Home button will always just take you home. So, yeah, it would be kind of cool if there is a quick resume feature.
Or even just like a side menu that pops up in, like kind of how if you're on a series, even PlayStation Series X or S. Yeah, you have Steam Deck, PlayStation, if you hit it's not it's not going home, but it's opening up like a home style menu where you can get to other parts of the operating system while you're still in a game.
Yeah.
I mean,
And there
maybe
are
they want
people
to
who thought that
separate that.
there was also people that, and I see it in the chat too. People think, well, the C button. What if it's a camera? Maybe they put a camera, and the C button's a way to turn the camera off, like a shutter button or something. That just
Right.
kind of makes it so it doesn't work because people don't want it on all the time. It could be. I think like people only ever trust if you cover the camera, right? It's like I think like a slider at the top that slides over the camera lens would make more sense for that. But I have no idea. Here we see it next to the Steam Deck. Obviously, it's smaller than the Steam Deck, so that's good because the Steam Deck's a beefy boy, very beefy boy. But what's interesting is it's a pretty significant screen size upgrade.
I was just about to mention that. I was kind of shocked when he put I think that was the OLED he was comparing it to, and the whole thing basically fits in the screen of the Switch too.
Yep, there
Like
it is.
that. Like
Yeah.
that blows my mind. That it's like I don't even know how to comprehend that. I don't even know how to.
It's a big screen. I mean, look, we've been hearing 8 inches for a while, no confirmation on it because the shipping data doesn't really have any details for the screen. It just has screens. It's a very general term they're using. But I mean, it's big. I think what's nice about it though is when he holds it next to the Switch OLED, which he does a little bit later, it's not so big that it looks like a monster next to the Switch OLED. It's kind of just like a little bit bigger. It's one of those things that if you didn't have a Switch OLED next to you, you might not realize that it's that much bigger. It might just feel like a Switch OLED because Switch OLED is already bigger than the OG Switch. So I do like that. Also, he does a Joy-Con comparison later as well, and we'll have another one from an accessory maker that I find really interesting because the Joy-Cons are bigger, which for me with big hands makes me happy. But right now he's like comparing, the tops of the buttons. And one thing I did notice is if this stuff is correct, which we don't know. Obviously, the one cartridge slot, the headphone jack. When he moves his finger here in a bit, the air vents, man, there's a lot more ventilation on this system. So I don't know if that's an indicator of just they want to use a bigger fan. They're trying to dissipate even more heat because of the power. But that's some pretty beefy air things in. Obviously, you get your volume buttons and your power there, which are just they're not actual buttons. This is just a little print. One thing that I think is now incorrect is when he shows the back, it has like this. It has like the Switch OLED style kickstand cut out on the back. We now have an update from an accessory manufacturer that made a case that shows that it looks like it's the U-shaped design. We'll get to that a little bit later. But obviously the point of them printing this was for one, they want attention for their products, and two, so they had the right dimensions to make like cases and stuff. Because see, that's like a Switch OLED design on the back, and that's apparently not what the kickstand's like. And I'll show a product that shows it better. We have that USB-C port at the top too. Do you guys have any ideas what that port's for besides like just another way to charge the system?
My initial thought, because I remember I don't remember if it was the CAD files or the images came out or something that said there was the USB-C port, and then like a week or two later, they announced Alarmo, and it is powered via USB-C. So my thought was you could do something like that where you can integrate it to the Switch. If like my Switch is on the TV stand over here, and I could run a USB-C cord and have the Alarmo on my TV stand, and then it's plugged into the Switch. You could do that, or it could just be it's set on the table and I want to charge it without having to buy an extra charging stand to hold it up. And I don't necessarily want to hold it, and you can just plug it in from the top. It really could be anything, honestly.
Yeah, I'm really leaning on that more I mean, maybe there's some accessories that we're not thinking of that will come out for the console, but I think it fixes the not being able to charge it while it's got the dock, or I mean, while it's got the kickstand out. And then I think that a lot of like even wired headsets now are USB-C instead of the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. So I could just see them having both right next to each other like that, because it's like, what if you have that headset instead of the 3.5 millimeter jack? So I could see that just being as simple as that, and that's all it is.
Did Apple switch over? Do they still have wired earbuds?
Yes.
Yeah, they
Are
do,
they
and
and they're
they have.
USB-C now?
They're USB-C. Yep.
That might be
Yep.
part of it. Yeah. now
It's
that
just
I
I
think
don't.
about it.
They just don't come with the phones anymore. But
I
they
can
still
see it
have
being
them.
like it could literally just be for that, and then an alternative charging way. Because a lot of devices you can charge through any USB-C port, and I bring that up because one of the fatal flaws of Switch, if you play in TV mode, is you can't charge it without using some sort of get up to hold it up because you can't. You're setting it down, the cord's gonna push it up. You literally can't like charge it conveniently in like when it's sitting on your little side table, your night table or whatever. So it could literally just be, hey, we want to take in consideration that USB-C headphones are more popular, and hey, we want to give you an alternative way to charge in certain situations where it would be more convenient to plug it in through the top. That's entirely possible. There could also be other ones. People, remember that old was it that Chinese YouTuber or whatever that like talked about a camera module that could plug into it. So like that could be a thing too, Going back to the old Game Boy days where we have little modules we can plug in. Oh, look out, Switch 2 printer coming.
I don't think it will happen, but I see a lot of hope. Surprisingly, more hope than I'd think. But a lot of people comment on stuff like on videos, and I think I've seen it in the chat a couple times. There's a lot of people that want that to be primarily for a dual screen attachment.
Oh my goodness.
I don't. It's
no
not going to
way.
happen. It's not going to happen. But I think there's just a lot of fond memories from the DS era, and obviously it would be nice to have an easy way to emulate DS and 3DS games through NSO, but it's not. That's not going to be what it is.
Yeah. I don't think so. Obviously, we have those extra buttons on the back that we've seen a bunch of times. Does anyone think that's anything other than the release mechanism?
I think it's release.
It's pretty.
I think
so
it's release.
beefy. It must be one thing that makes me happy about how beefy that is that if that is the release mechanism, then whatever the connection is, I know like magnets, but if there's other stuff involved, that to me makes me feel like the connection's much more secure.
Yes.
Like we're not going to be dealing with wobble this generation, really. You'd have to really force wobble to happen for wobble to be a thing.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm
Especially
hoping
if it's going
too.
in sideways instead of coming up.
Because the prototypes like it look thicker too. Like there's more of a connection to like really keep that solid. It's kind of cool if that Nintendo maybe even wanted to address that as a problem. Because like maybe they've noticed while they're sitting there on their planes that, oh, my Switch just slipped off my Joy-Cons because it's wobbly as shit. Plus the crappy design of using those plastic tabs. I just don't even know why.
Yeah, when I held a light Switch Lite for the first time, I was like, this is like it's one solid piece, and I didn't realize how much that kind of bothered me. When you have a grip on or something, it helps to not notice that as much, but still. I want out of the box no wobble with the Joy-Cons. It'll make it feel so much more premium if you just can't physically move them while they're attached.
Yeah, if they can make it feel as solid as the Switch Lite but still be able to detach, I think that's the dub.
Yep.
Like that just makes it feel like a more premium product, especially since we presume this will obviously be more expensive than a Switch OLED. So the only other real big thing out of this video, and I want to see if I can pause it at the right angle, is it looks like they've changed some of the angles with the Joy-Cons, if this is correct. So we have like a bit more of a rounded at the top, a bit more like a more tapered, rounded edge up by the shoulder buttons, which I find to be interesting. And then it seems to, if you like grab a Joy-Con, it seems to kind of taper down, like going out towards the edge. He tries to capture it. It doesn't quite get a great angle at it, but there's one particular angle that by accident kind of shows it. I'm going to see if I can grab it when he gets closer to that section. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's going to like help it sit better in the palm a little bit and be a bit more comfortable? Because they didn't. The big thing is they didn't add any girth on the back, like any to give you like a grip. So like grips are still going to be a thing, which accessory makers are probably happy with.
Mm-hmm.
Satisfy. What?
Yeah, Satisfy's probably completely thrilled. We already know about a grip from them coming.
Nah, we know how thrilled they are.
Yeah, so I'm very curious. Like, do you guys think that like I'm holding my Switch? Do you think that would help with ergonomics a little bit? Because like this is the only reason I think you would make that change would be for ergonomics.
I think it'll help slightly. I think the biggest thing that's going to help though is just those Joy-Cons being physically bigger, because that's honestly the only thing I cannot, like, I had to put these Joy-Cons on because I was using these Nixie controllers instead.
Oh, sure,
I mean,
sure.
just I have to have something more to grip than just the small Joy-Cons on the side. I mean, it really, or I have to have a satisfied grip on, which I also have. But yeah, if it helps with that, plus I can see it. If there's a bigger footprint of the Joy-Con itself, and it does actually make sense why that would be declining there on the edge as I'm holding my Switch. I could just see it with a bigger footprint, that would probably make it feel a little bit more comfortable than having it flat all the way across like the current Joy-Cons are. So I think that's accurate. I think we probably end up seeing that in the final product.
Sure. Right there. Oh, there it was. We just had it. Well, let's see if I can get a pause on it. It's kind of hard. Somewhere in there. Okay. Oh, it's literally, it's only on screen for like 2 seconds. He's got the perfect angle to show the taper. Anyways, if you guys have seen it, as I'm kind of like clicking around trying to find like the right still spot, because I can't do every second. There's definitely like a taper to it. I can imagine maybe that adds some slight comfortability. I don't know for sure. Obviously, because I'm not holding the product, so it'd be easier. That's why I wish I had it. I could hold it and give like a comfort and fit feel comparison instead of just saying that it's different. Just be like, hey, as someone that has really big hands, like, is this actually more comfortable by just kind of changing the angles and the curves a little bit? And then just being bigger, like, is that enough, or am I holding this and going, man, I still need a grip for this, or I still need third party ones? Third party ones will always be popular. Right here is like a good look at like the size difference between like normal Joy-Con and then the new ones. They're obviously a pretty decent amount bigger, which to me just naturally feels like that would be better for my hands, because I just bigger, grubbier hands. It kind of feels like this would be perfect, but who knows? It's interesting that they didn't go for a crazier redesign. I think that's like one of the things that most people, a lot of reactions were like, oh, so this thing literally just looks the same as Switch. And I think that's the idea. I think they know what Switch is. Switch is in high demand. Why would we go with some crazy different look?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the white Joy-Con's like the one thing that's like, okay, but what do they go with, some crazy color scheme at launch that doesn't look professional? Like, you figure if Nintendo's trying to keep this to be sleek and like appealing to young adults, you kind of go with gray, black, or white. So it's kind of the neutral colors you use. And all of those already exist on the current Switch. So like, I don't really know. Like, oh, you can go with the neon. Yeah, but they did the neon red and blue, but they also had the black, right? So maybe it could be one of those things like, oh, the white's one option, and then there is like an alternate colorway at launch, because they could go with 2 different colorways. And we just haven't seen what that colorway is. Or maybe it's just literally black and white, and that's the colorways. Like, it could just be that simple. I do just think, like, looking at this reminds me so much of like a new iPhone, a new Samsung Galaxy.
Yep.
That like this, they're using a number. I can't see how they do anything but use a number. Okay. Anyone disagree with that? Like, if it's going to basically look exactly like a Switch, you can't call it like, oh, it's Switch attach. What? No,
that's the actually, sadly, the only name that I think that they would go with over Switch 2 being Nintendo. But I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, well, and if I'm seeing this, and this is what it actually looks like, I'm like, dude, it's just a bigger Switch.
Yeah, it needs to be called Switch 2. And I actually am now leaning more towards that than ever before. Not to mention, this is kind of maybe a different leak, but the whole Foxconn financial report.
Oh, yeah.
And so does that not line up almost perfect timing, because it's November results with when we saw that individual who had supposedly uploaded a badge ID that was a Foxconn employee, and they were the ones saying that there was a Switch logo and a 2 right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, assuming they're legitimately sending out finalized products to Nintendo in their warehouses, which is what has to happen for these to appear on Foxconn's financial reports that they're putting out there as revenue earned. it's the timing lines up, and I mean, I guess it's not the most verifiable source or anything like that, but I just thought that was interesting that we're hearing this kind of stuff from Foxconn, and that was a Foxconn employee. And also that I believe that individual also said that it was a U-shaped kickstand, like I think we're about to get to as well.
Yeah. So like the U-shaped kickstand's this thing. So this is over on the Baidu.com website, one of those social media websites. This is some more accessories. There's two in particular. These are just like those cheap plastic shells. Some people get just basic protection. And this is supposedly for the Switch 2. And you can, this is like the back part. You could clearly see the U-shaped cutout to keep the kickstand usable. That's the first time, by the way. So the U-shaped kickstand was always like rumored and talked about, but we've never had any physical evidence of it. Like we never saw on that prototype from October, we never saw the back. So we didn't get to see it. That 3D print we just had kind of looked like the same Switch OLED thing, but who knows? It wasn't workable or usable. We've only ever heard about it, and now we have an accessory that clearly has the cutout for it. Like, this is our first physical evidence that, oh, that U-shaped kickstand's probably real. Why they go with that design over the other one? It could just be to be different. I don't know that it provides anything better. I think it's just as useful, but different. And they'd probably hide the micro SD card slot underneath it again.
Maybe they can make it flatter if it goes up higher and it's not a
maybe more angles.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like maybe you could extend it out to where, you know, it's just slightly angled up. Like,
yeah, some people would probably prefer that. Yeah, I prefer that. And some, like when I'm laying in bed, I'd like maybe just a slight angle instead of flat.
Yeah, that's the only reason I can think of, because unless you just want a room for a big Switch logo with the 2 next to it on the back, and you know,
I mean, maybe it works something like
your camera disconnected.
Oh, of course it did. Because
why
wouldn't it? Here,
you move the whole computer. So what do you expect to happen? So he's talking about this thing that has all the custom angles on it that you can go like really high and really low. It's like a little electronic holder. Yeah, it would be kind of cool. This is obviously a bit more complex to hold heavier things.
there we go. Yeah,
but yeah, it's I mean, again, the big thing here is just the direct evidence that, hey, the U-shaped thing is like a real thing. That's kind of the only significant part here, because we don't see any other angles on this, so we can't see if like the vents and everything lines up with the prototype that we saw. And then we have this, which is just more confirmation of what we already know. It's bigger, so the top one's a normal Switch one, the bottom one's a Switch 2. Circle, square button next to each other. Literally the same thing that we've been seeing for a while, but it's just kind of more confirmation that's in the final design. And
I legitimately thought that was like a top and bottom cover.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought too. Yeah, it was. I translated some of the stuff, the text of the page. I was like, oh no, this is just comparing.
Okay, that would make sense on why there, because I couldn't figure out why you would have 2 holes on the back and the button cutouts for the bottom of it. So.
Yeah. So it's just to compare sizes of the exact same accessory from the exact same company for the different devices. This one's obviously much more used on the top. You can see scratches all over it, so they probably actually used it. But anyways, point is that it's just more confirmation of stuff we already know. I think what's wild, because we haven't even gotten to like the big news yet. Like there's some big crap we got to talk about, but just to wrap up sort of like all of this and the fact that we at this point we know mass manufacturing is going on. There's like no doubt anymore. They're shipping retail packages. The numbers are staying stupidly high over the course of September and now October. It's very clear it's in mass manufacturing. There's even data from like Foxconn that's supporting that they've probably sent a bunch of completed units to Nintendo now. So like it's kind of wild. There could potentially be millions of these things ready to be sold by the end of this year, and it might not be coming out for a little bit here. Not holiday, we'll get to that in a bit, but I think it's wild that because I don't remember this happening with Switch, like this many accessory manufacturers just being like, fuck it, here's what it looks like, we're making shit for it, you can pre-order now. And we're not just talking like Chinese ones. Zen Grip, Satisfy,
that was big.
That was huge. I was like, what? There's no way they got that already.
They're literally advertising the Zen Grip 2 for the next generation Switch right now. You can spend money and pre-order it now. They're claiming day one. I don't know how they can guarantee day one.
And literally put a shipping timeline of spring, which is even more wild.
Yeah, they put spring on. They had a video that had what we thought was a digital mock model of it in the grip, sort of in the background. and then they had to delete the video, and they had to delete the images of it off. So like, and we don't know if Nintendo made them do that or if they just did it for extra publicity. Obviously, we have no. I reached out to them; they haven't said anything. Which I can imagine if Nintendo said something, they probably won't say anything because they can't. But it's because that's not some Chinese, no, that is a mainstay, well-known, Western-based company that is like, no, we're just straight up. You could pre-order Switch 2 stuff right now and spring. We're just giving you a release timing of spring.
How long do we think at the rate things are going? How long until we get like a Zelda OLED level
Style
leak
leak.
where
like a
it's like,
picture.
here's the box,
Mhm.
here's inside the box with all of the stuff inside, and like, I don't know, that OLED came out in May of 23, and
Yeah,
we
and it
got
leaked
the
it
leaks
leaked
for
in
that at the beginning of
December.
January,
It was like
end of
December.
December.
It was December, yeah.
So if they're saying Switch 2 like April, May, June, I don't know. I give it like 2 more weeks, maybe 3 more weeks, and you could start seeing those kind of pictures come out
I
of the
think
manufacturing.
January. I kind of feel like for some reason we're gonna somehow get past Christmas, and it's gonna be like sometime in January.
That's
Because-
why I really hope Nintendo does their first look trailer early January, because I do feel like the box is going to leak, and
Here's
there's going
the
to be a
thing.
whole debate on if it's real or not,
Yeah,
and it's going to end up being real.
They've kept things locked down, but here's the thing: the more that gets made, the more people that touch it, the bigger chances. So it's like by January, when they're at the time where they're making like 1 million of these a month, like someone's gonna snap a photo. So I feel like Nintendo knows that they've been able to keep it under wraps, but when it's at full production, it's gonna happen. So, and I feel like it's already in mass production. It just might not be at maximum production because usually you don't just go from 0 to max. You ramp up, and then you get once we get to next year, they'll start to be at maximum production. So I think January is kind of like, if they don't reveal it at some point in early January, they sincerely. I mean, look, we're already getting Switch Up has literally what it might look like. It might just literally look like that. It might have basically already happened. and it's not even from a factory. It's just, hey, maybe we should have gave Nintendo's probably second guessing giving all these accessory manufacturers all the dimensions now, aren't they? Because they probably didn't think this was going to happen, because they probably did it with Switch and it didn't happen with Switch. So, but then they're like, oh, maybe the accessory manufacturer's like, well, it's just a bigger Switch.
Well,
What's the big deal?
I mean, these accessory manufacturers probably didn't know that the Switch. They might have thought it was going to be another Wii U, So like, they didn't know they were going to have a big user base.
We didn't have a ton of accessories at launch.
Yeah,
we really didn't.
Now you have the 140 million plus install base of the Switch, and then you're looking at, okay, well, a lot of these people are going to upgrade. They're going to do it day one. We need to have our stuff ready to go day one. You know what? The hell with it. Let's give them the pre-order links before Nintendo's even announced it. Like that. That's what it seems like they're doing.
Yeah. So,
sorry.
Yeah, no, go on.
I mean, it feels like these manufacturers are getting kind of ballsier and ballsier. It's going to be, I think after Christmas, somebody's just going to say fuck it and just, here's what it looks like.
Oh, dude, what if someone drops it on
Nintendo.
Christmas Day?
That would be a Christmas
that'd be
gift.
crazy.
I mean,
Merry Christmas,
it's
motherfuckers.
like, Jesus, Nintendo. I get it. Holiday sale stuff, blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows it's coming.
For how much stuff has come out, I gotta say, it is shocking the leak hasn't happened already. So kudos to Nintendo and the people working with them that we haven't been able to get a legit snap of it yet out in public, because we got 3D prints, we got accessories, we got all, but technically none of it is the actual system. So it's pretty. Now, granted, it might literally just look like what we already just saw from Switch Up, but it's pretty wild. And obviously, seeing something powered on in general would be pretty wild. Speaking of that, before we get to the biggest news out of this, we have a couple things that seem to be confirmed at this point for Switch 2 that we've learned over the last week. One of those is because Nintendo is hiring an engineer. The engineer requires to have experience working with SD Express. That's really, really good news because they've never had that as a requirement in any prior engineer hires. That likely means that it's a technology they're already using. We know Switch doesn't use SD Express. That probably means Switch 2 does support the faster aka the fastest micro SD cards out there. The newer ones that aren't quite as standard, but they do exist. And now there's even rumors that there are some companies that are waiting to start mass manufacturing them until Switch 2 is announced. But they technically already exist. Samsung and a couple others have some SD Express out there. They're just faster. It's just period. I mean, there's really not much more to say. They're faster than micro SD cards, and they're going to allow, when you put games on it, to load faster. It'll never be as fast as the internal storage. That's just never the case. But being able to have that faster speed will make there be less of a difference between internal storage load speeds and external. So it's just good to have, and it's good future proofing. If they plan for the system to be out 5, 6, 8 years, it's going to be cheaper in 3, 4, 5 years. So it makes sense to kind of future proof yourself a little bit, and hey, help out the developers that like want everything on the internal storage anyways, to get a little bit faster speeds for their loading, game loading, and stuff. You want to add to that, Thunderstash?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that when that news came out, of course, I did some research on it because I want to know all about this. And I had read an article from Samsung's semiconductor website from February 28th of this year. And essentially what they're saying is it's going to be 4 times faster than the current fastest SD card. And I was reading about speeds of up to 800 megabytes per second starting out, but that there shouldn't be a problem getting the speeds up to 1,000 to 1,200, which is awesome, super fast. And I was looking to see like who's selling these, what sizes they come in, and so far the only sizes I've seen is the 128 and the 256. I have not seen a 512 or 1 terabyte anywhere. And then I did see that SanDisk also has an SD Express version. I think they use a slightly different name. But again, like you said, Nate, point is that they're going to be way faster. And I would be willing to bet that the 1 terabytes will be coming out right at the same time as Switch 2.
Yeah, there's no mainstream device right now that really supports it, because you can put them in normal micro SD card slots, but then just buy a normal micro SD because it can't read it fast enough. So you have to have devices that have the right reader for it to get the speeds. There's just no mainstream device that supports it yet. So that's why it's been really a slow adoption, because there hasn't, for the most part, devices that use micro SD, they don't really need it to be faster. But then you get to gaming, and yes, actually, we do need it to be faster, but no one supports it yet. So
yeah, this is going to be the way, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to start popping up also in all the handheld PCs down the line. As soon as Nintendo does it and they start to become plentiful, all the handheld PCs are going to do it as well. So
yeah, I'm excited. I'll definitely be picking up one of these cards.
Oh yeah,
for sure, day one.
Yeah,
because we know we're going to need them.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Gotta get that Legend of Zelda edition. Make sure,
yeah.
pay triple for it.
right. So the other thing is this, guys. You can check for yourself. Nintendo updated the Nintendo Switch operating system. If you go to the system information under the settings on your Switch right now, you don't need me to. You can go to Central Leaks and other places. You don't need it. If you have a Switch, you can already see this. They included something new in the system information. BEE-006. We know from shipping documents that is the Nintendo Switch 2 cartridge. So why is your Nintendo Switch operating system publicly on every Switch referencing a Switch 2 cartridge code? Well, if you think back to data mines that also had the code name of Switch 2 in the operating system, Ounce, which we kind of known for a while that was the code name, but then got definite confirmation with the Pokemon Terra leak that is the code name. So we kind of already figured it back then, but we had no public confirmation, and it could just be development stuff. Well, this is now public. It's in the system information that the operating system supports Switch 2 cartridges. It's going to be using the same OS on Switch 2. So One, that's
These
good
make it
news
look
for
different.
backwards compatibility and all that stuff. Makes it really smooth. We're not going to be booting into a Wii mode, right? Like glad that we can set that fear aside. No fucking Wii mode, thank God. Not that I thought they would do that, but they did it before, so I'm gonna put it past them to be like, oh yeah, we're backwards compatible. You got to reboot your system. God, that would be so annoying. However, the fear that a lot of people have is, oh, it's just the same OS. How are we going to know it's even a Switch 2 when we turn it on? And this is boring. No, being the same operating system doesn't mean that it's literally going to function exactly the same. As an example, Windows 11 functions a little different than Windows 10, but Windows 11 is built on Windows 10. Just throwing it out there. It's like iOS 18. Yeah, it's built on the prior version of iOS. This is just really great for backwards compatibility, but also I want to get rid of that fear that it means there won't be any new features on Switch 2's, operating system or UI elements just because it happens to use. It'll just be features that are only on Switch 2. So the operating system a Switch operating system could have these features. They just recognize we're on a Switch. So no, turn off. Recognize we're on a Switch 2, turn on. That already happens on a lot of modern devices, by the way. Hell, Windows does that. They like all the features that are on the Pro version are on the Home version, but they just turn them off. Then they unlock when you have the Pro version. It's stupid, but that's just how software works. So let's turn this around a bit because this is crazy that this is even the Nintendo. Now this is just Nintendo. We've been talking about third parties, accessory makers, rumor people. Now Nintendo is just like, yeah, fuck it. We already announced backwards compatibility. Fuck it. See if people figure this out. Yeah, Switch 2 cartridges referenced on your Switch right now. So, that being the case, what do you want to change with the current operating system for Switch 2?
Can we just get the elephant out of the room and just say themes? Like, I think we all want themes. That's like pretty general consensus. Like, everybody wants new themes. Okay, yeah, okay. Now that we've got that out of the way, I for one would really love some music. Even if like the Wii had very simple music, but it like added character. It added like
Charm.
something. Same for the Wii U. Like Wii U had very simple music, right? Same goes for the eShop. I think the eShop having music would be great, but that's a different thing. One thing I would like that I do appreciate that Xbox does is you get to make categories, and those categories, and I know the Switch has groups, but they're very hard to get to. Whereas like on my Xbox, I literally can open that like side home and all my groups are right there. So I can easily get to my streaming services. Here's all my downloaded games, like very easy. I want that for Switch, where you can open a quick menu and be like, here's a group of all your streaming services, like your Crunchyroll, Hulu, whatever, YouTube, right? And then
Can we get those services, please?
yeah, it would be great if we could have Netflix.
Yeah.
Can we just have them, please? That'd be nice.
But then also for your games, so you can say like, oh, here's all of my online games. Here's all of my single player games. Here's all my RPGs. Like you can access them a lot quicker and a lot easier instead of having to scroll all the way over, go into all games. Like I think that's just like very simple, very easy, and would just improve the quality of life of the Switch just ever so slightly.
I've said this. Like, I like the simplicity of Switch. I like how it's very simple. It's just about games, but they don't always let me get to the games quickly, unless it's something I've played very recently. Can't get to it quickly. There's a lack of customization on how we organize our games, and I want that to change. Like we have a few settings you can change about what appears on your home screen, but I pretty much just leave it on the default. What have you been playing lately? Because that's probably the things I'm going to play most, at least in the moment. But I can't put any folders. Why can't I put a multiplayer game folder and pin it to my home screen? So when I do want to play my multiplayer games, I just tap that and here they all are. Or whatever the folder is, right? It doesn't have to be that. Just having that customizability is something that is kind of missing. Also, this is a bigger screen, and our TVs are massive. Do we have to have only one row? Like, does it have to only be one row?
Could also have it change, and you can add rows. That was something the 3DS did. where
Yeah.
you could make it bigger and have one row, or you can make it smaller and have like 10 rows
Yeah.
straight down.
It should be fully customizable. Yeah.
You should be able to choose how many rows you have. And then, like, if you have one row, then take better advantage of the space and, like, do, like, some of those custom UIs that we've seen out there do. Like, give us more information on the game when we're going over it. Like, hey, when was the last time I played this game? Just tell me. Last time you played was this day. Here's how many hours you played in the game. And, like, whatever general information on, or hey, is there a new DLC update? Like, you can like have like a notification for that on the game, in case I want to decide to go get that. Because like it just kind of feels like, as simplistic as this is, and I love how simple this is. Like this is just clean. It's nice, but also there's a lot of just dead space that probably could do a little something with, especially when you are over the game and you're on it. Like I feel like it could open up and give me some more info on some stuff. And that kind of just extends to the whole UI. More information when I'm looking at my friends list. Being able to manage the friends list better would be nice. As an example, why can't I delete more than one friend at a time? This is basic. Just open up a menu so I can just click check, or even a delete all or delete last 20. Just something. And obviously, this is a unique situation. Not everyone's going to be like a content creator that has a bunch of like YouTube members and everyone's trying to add you, and you just don't have room for all of them because for some reason we can't have 7,000 friends. I don't know why. It's very little data, but we can't. They limit it. That's another thing. Maybe open that limit a bit so I can have more friends. But like being able to manage your friends list better. Being able to manage just everything in general. Like Switch, even today in 2024, when you look at it, it just still feels kind of bare bones. And there is some simplicity to that. And I'm sure there's a huge culture around that loves like that sort of simplicity. But I think it's okay to mess it up a little bit just to be more convenient to do certain things. Like if there's new news on a game that I have on my home screen, I should have some sort of notification on that game rather than having to go to a separate news section to know there's new news. Like the news section is great. I'm not saying get rid of it. They could revamp it, do some cool things with it. And I know some of you guys out there use that news. So some of you guys, literally, that's where you get all your Nintendo news. Hey, you don't like the leaks, the rumors, the speculation. Nintendo's got a news tab for you right on your Switch. You want to stick to the official stuff. Granted, did they put the new Donkey Kong trailer in that news tab today?
I have not opened up the news tab, and
I'm gonna open it right now.
I open up the news tab
No.
specifically to clear the little notification bubble, and that's it.
So
Yeah.
Nick, on your phone, you don't have any red notification icons.
Oh no, I do. Like
Okay.
YouTube, I specifically do not check my notifications because I like to see how high I can let that number get. But on Twitch, no, get that little blue dot out of
dude,
here.
No. The latest is a Fortnite goes first person with ballistic tactical 5v5 shooter, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing on here about that Donkey Kong trailer, which I find fascinating because that's a Nintendo first party thing. But then again, if you ever try watching trailers on your Switch, you might.
Not ideal.
You might know why maybe they're not putting that on there. It's not a good look for the system. It's a little dated. That being said, I'm just saying, like in general, just general UI improvement. Like I don't think they need to make it crazy different. Like go with some of these crazy UI redesigns. But I do think just going with something that feels like this is new. So it just feels new while like iPhone does that sometimes. And I know a lot of the new is just jacking Android features, but it's still just, it feels new while feeling familiar. And I don't know what that is. That's for their UI design team and everyone else to sort out. But obviously being able to customize just anything should just be allowed in general. You guys got anything else?
Has everyone seen the PS5?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
The 30th anniversary?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
I mentioned this in my video tomorrow, Thunderstash. You said no joke. Yeah, it's already filmed.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Dude,
awesome.
it is so good. It's just so classic. I've always been a fan of like console startup screens, right? And PS1 is definitely iconic. The sound, I don't know why, it's just something that's always stuck with me. When I think about Nintendo startups, the GameCube is just super classic.
GameCube Instant comes to mind every time I think Nintendo.
it's so good, and I would like to see some sort of cool startup. Honestly, I think that'd be nice. That was one thing, but
Yeah, there really is nothing, is there?
no, there
It just
isn't.
turns on.
Yeah,
Hit your home button.
and I get it. It's fast and all that, and maybe people don't want to sit through it,
Well,
but
I
this
also
has
think
been
for the
very
hardware,
enjoyable.
I think for the hardware Switch they had to worry about speed a lot because they had pretty weak stuff under the hood.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But with these themes, though, for the 30th anniversary, like it's an actual theme. It's not just the startup. It's the whole user interface. It's the sound effects in the menu. Like there's little
Huh?
touches everywhere. Like it's using the PS1 sound effects when you know, uh, move to and highlight a different game. It makes a different sound. It's
Yeah.
just really good. And all I was thinking when I
3DS
was
had
doing
stuff like
this is
that.
like, man, we got Nintendo's 40th anniversary next year. What are you guys gonna do? Like, you gonna do anything? Because this is great. If you need ideas, do this.
Mario,
This is
baby.
really good, man. Yeah. So I know Nick. Obviously, you mentioned themes right at the get go because that is a big thing.
Do you
And
guys
I think
remember?
that themes need
You guys
to-
remember for when they did some Mario themed stuff in the eShop, and they were like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," but it's like running at like 2 FPS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
That could be a problem.
It's like, okay, Nintendo clearly wants to do this, but like
when you
they
were
gotta fix
downloading
some
the
stuff.
game on the Wii,
No,
and like
on
Mario would
Switch.
run on the
On
screen.
Switch.
Wow.
They tried a little bit of like during anniversaries have like Mario stuff on the eShop, like little Mario running and stuff, and it was just really, really bad.
I like what they did with the eShop where they put like during those Mario events, the background changed.
Yeah,
Like
that
it was the Mario, but then also they did have that running thing that clearly
yeah.
did not
did not
load very well.
Right,
It's
no, it
not
did
great.
But here's the thing: we're just talking about the UI of your system overall. Like it should be able to run way better. That's running locally right in your system RAM. So I know we talked about themes, but like it's wild to think that like 3DS had themes. You could buy them. It changed it. It changed the sound effect. It did exactly what Thunder said. Like literally, Nintendo's done this, and they just didn't bring on a way weaker system, by the way, and they just didn't bring it back. And it's like free money, and it makes like people can spend. You can have like Club Nintendo, do they still call it Club Nintendo? Whatever the coins system
Yeah,
they
the
use.
points. Yeah.
Yeah, like they still we'd use that to buy themes, even. You know,
Or just make it like have a like one from each franchise as a premium theme for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers.
a little bit of an achievement, baby. You see the ending of a Nintendo game, you get the theme for that game for the system.
That would be even better. That'd
I
be,
really
and
like
that's
that
that's
idea.
actually a good idea because that's a way to Nintendo up the achievements and
You
trophy
get
system.
something for
How they
it.
don't want to just do like the same thing as Sony and Microsoft. And I would just add real quick, I think that the biggest thing, and this is ridiculous because it literally makes Nintendo so much money, is the eShop should not be an app you hop into to begin with. It should be a tab, like hit the L button and it just tabs you over to the eShop, and it should feel the same and as responsive as going through the system menu. I mean, there is just, you are spending money on a Nintendo storefront. There is no reason for you to have to struggle to get to game pages, you know?
Yeah.
And I really think that they could do that with every icon. Like if it's a game you already purchased, kind of like PlayStation 5 to compare to them. I really like the PS5 UI. It changes the background to the game that you're on. There's music that plays that's from that game most of the time. You know, they're prepping you to get ready to press that play button. We had that with like the Wii on Twilight Princess. One of the coolest things was going to that, you know, and then hearing the music kick in, you're like, oh, I'm getting ready to go into an adventure. They should do that on the games we own, but also whenever you go to the eShop, it should just be like whatever game you're highlighted on takes up the screen, shows you the information. It should all just be like a seamless thing, you know? And so I really hope they overhaul that stuff. That's my biggest thing, is if they can get that stuff feeling responsive and not like where I literally have to click down less so I can let it catch up to me,
dude.
scrolling through a list. It's insane.
It's a very poor shopping experience.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like imagine walking into a store and that's how your experience is. You have to literally wait for the games on the shelf to load. It's like, dude, you know what I mean? But for real, I think they need to like look at it in that vein.
Copy. What is happening?
Yeah. If they want to fix this, they need to look at it like that and be like, hey, how can we make this a really great experience where people want to spend time in the eShop? Because right now it is the complete opposite. I do not want to spend time there. I
Yeah.
will look online to try and see if there's a game on sale on the eShop.
You know what's
And if
funny?
there is, I will manually search for it and buy
Yep.
it, and
Yeah,
then
That's
I'm
the way
out
to
of
do
there.
it.
A lot of people make like those eShop sales videos. I'm like, God, do they really suffer through the eShop? No, they just go to Deku Deals and
Yep.
see what the latest deals are, because you don't want
Exactly.
to sit there for hours trying to find the deals to make the damn video, because it's so much loading.
It's
Oh.
horrible. It's just so bad. So that is such a big one. I will say I really do want to see Nintendo take a stab at achievements, trophies, whatever you want to call it,
I'm
to make it
100% with
Nintendo.
you. Oh, they got to do it this time.
I really think they should. I think they're missing out on multi-platform sales as well. I know
Agreed.
there's a lot of people, and I don't think people should underestimate it, that will choose to buy a game on PlayStation or Xbox because they want either the achievements or the trophies. So if you don't have it, some people are going to skip your version. Like playing it in handheld won't be enough because they like the trophies. They like doing it. It would be so much fun with Nintendo. Nate, I talked to you about this before too. Like they have retro achievements now, like with retro games with emulation, and it's so cool. And I'm just like starting to like, kind of dip my toes into that and see what it's all about.
Mhm.
But like one of the first games I looked up was Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I'm like, oh, I wonder what kind of achievement there is for being Mike Tyson. And it's like, dude, Nintendo, these are your games. These are your IP. You should do this. Like that would be so much fun to get not only like achievements on current games, but on your backlog. That would be really fun. And I love the idea of themes. Like imagine if you got the platinum on a game, whatever Nintendo's version of that is, and you get the theme.
Absolutely.
There's so many great ideas you guys have came up with that I really hope Nintendo finally does it. Everyone has it. Steam has it. And
Yep.
Steam's coming out with their own console, it seems, from what we've
Yeah.
heard, right? The Steam box. So that's finally going to be a thing. I think you got to do it, man.
Yeah. So this leads to the big news.
The
Good
big
old
cheese.
Nate. Good old Nate the Hate. Now, I put this caveat in my video. It made some people upset that he was wrong about the March reveal this year. But that's okay. Things happen. Things move quickly in this industry. Nintendo changes things on a dime, and almost all this information always comes from third-party companies, right? So, like, not directly from Nintendo. But he finally, after months, opened up on Switch 2 because he had some exciting stuff to share. So, first, we had a report from Nintenduo that had 6 different companies, supposedly, that's what they claim, that talked to them, 6 different development studios, that essentially said it's coming out in June. Okay, cool. Talked about that last week. Pretty cool. All right, June. Yeah, maybe. Sure. We don't know. June. Then Nate the Hate comes out. And he's like, okay, yeah, that June thing got him thinking. Hey, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Because he happens to know that at the moment, Nintendo is planning a Switch 2 event for May. And that the system is set to release either in late May or by the middle of June. So that lines up with the report of other developers talking to Nintenduo, a well-respected not Japanese, Spanish outlet, about it coming out in June. Now, I've been saying this whole time since the mass manufacturing stuff's been fairly solid for like the last few weeks. Like we've basically, last month, really, we've kind of known that, yeah, this thing's probably a mass manufacturing, that it's almost impossible for this system to be a holiday next year. Will Nintendo need 20 million of these things for launch? I'm confused, right? Like, so I've been on it's first half no matter what. Now we have like the Zen Grip saying spring. We have obviously Nintenduo saying it's June coming out, which by the way, guys, spring, people don't think about this. Spring in the Northern Hemisphere runs through June 20th. Now I know Japan is June 1st. I get it. Okay. For some reason, they're in the Northern Hemisphere where they go, nah, we're not going to be like every country around us. We're starting summer on June 1st. I get it. Okay. But they're an international company. They're not just worrying about their local place. And spring is being said by people that aren't in Japan. So they're probably just referencing their local, like the people who make the Satisfy grip, they're in the US. So bam, you got, they're going to go off US Spring, all that stuff. The Nintendo, they're going to be going off, obviously, Spanish. It begins on the 21st, etc. It's based on an astrological event. If people didn't know why summer begins around June 20, June 21st, it's an astrological event. Anyways, almost every country recognizes that event except for Japan. Apparently, they probably have their own history on why they start on June 1st for summer. That being said, that doesn't really matter. What matters is this May event. Now, he doesn't know what the event is. He speculates that it is probably like the January 2017 event. It's that big, here's everything, and then the system is out very shortly after. Because also he's heard about the system coming out by the end of May. So this kind of feels like maybe a beginning of May event, which is pretty... Because it's like fucking 5 months from... like, you realize like how soon that is? That's not that far, considering that he's not saying that's when it's revealed. He's saying that's the launch event. And he then went on to speculate. He doesn't seem to know, which is okay that he doesn't know. Or maybe he does and he doesn't want to put it down in stone because, he kind of got burned on that earlier this year, putting it in stone. But he essentially says like it's got to be revealed by the next investors meeting, which is February 4th. So that kind of lines up with other rumors we've had about it being revealed in January, which again, Nintendo already said it's being revealed by the end of March. So we know that reveal is coming. So what are the thoughts here? What are the thoughts? I've did a whole video on this. My audience knows what's up. For me, I want to know, how about what Mr. 2.7K subscriber base over there, Nick Windoke, has to say?
Well, so just so I can clarify and just like really get things clear. They're doing like a January Switch 1 2017 type presentation is the expectation, or not the expect, but like the rumor for a reveal this January.
No.
And then, or is that what they're talking about in May?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about in May. January or like first week of February would be like the October.
Gotcha. So that's like the, hey, here's this thing.
Yeah, like
here's
the reveal.
A couple of the games that like we're gonna show off, like a couple of the big game, Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And then in May, okay, that's kind of be a baller strategy by Nintendo to be like, here's this big presentation in May, and then bang, you are playing Switch. Something I kept in mind with thinking about, like, some people said late May for a release date, and I think that could also be advantageous because if I'm not mistaken, that is Golden Week in Japan. So, which would be a really ideal time to drop a new console in Japan because everybody's off work, everybody's out of school. They can spend a lot of time with this new system, go out, play some games. Also, in the US, that's right about when everyone starts getting out of school, Memorial Day weekend. You get the long weekend for the people who work, so then they can play the games. That might be like an ideal window too, because then you can be like, hey, new Switch console, new games.
I'm
take it or leave it.
I'm so excited.
Golden Week this year is April 29th to May 5th.
So beginning. So
it ends on my birthday.
Because I looked at it.
I
My
could see
birthday
them
is May
doing
7th.
the event during Golden Week. That'd be crazy.
I could too, because we're trying to schedule, my lady and I, my 40th to go to Japan. And I was like, I don't think we should probably go on Golden Week. It might be like crazy for us to go during that time.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, I told her, I was like, I'm more than willing to like not go during my birthday month even. Like I want Switch 2 in my hands on the plane. Okay. So if it comes out in June, I don't care. We go in June. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys know, like a trip like that.
If I want to be on vacation, I want to be rocking Switch 2 the whole time.
I want Switch 2.
I want to be like vacation.
Japan.
Then Switch 2 comes out. Nah.
Exactly. So that's why I looked into this though before, is that I was also looking at that with Golden Week too, because I thought, I wonder if I wonder if that would be a good time for them to launch it, right?
Also, because usually at that event that they did in January, they also had media behind the scenes go hands on. It's just interesting to note that for the first time in PAX East history, it is in May this year or next year, I should say. It's
That's right.
never been in May. It's always been April, March, never May.
Is it early May? Or is it like
No,
middle
it was
May?
kind. It's like middle May. It's like 8th to the 11th or something like that.
Oh, so like right after.
It could be
Golden
right
Week.
after, and all of a sudden you have a public hands-on heading right into like launching 2-3 weeks later. Like it's all kind of lining up that it makes a lot of sense.
I hate that it's lining up because the last time everything lined up was like in the fall. We were like, yes, this is it. And then there's like this great plan, and then nothing happened. And I'm like,
Well, to be fair, there really wasn't anything. It was just hopium that we just thought it made sense because Nintendo smashed all these events together, and PH Brazil was so confident it was coming out in March. And okay, cool, things change, right? But I just look. The moment that Nate the Hate said this, my initial reaction was, okay, I can give up on March now. I'm good on giving up on March. That's fine. Like not for reveal, but like just okay, not coming out in March. That's fine. I was kind of already being like, well, maybe April. Okay, May's fine. June, as long as it's not the end of June, beginning, middle of June, if they want to get it out before Summer Game Fest, cool. They want to get it out right after Summer Game Fest because they want all the promotion from all these games that are coming to the system. Sure, cool, I get it. But I just look at this whole thing as, okay, this is starting to feel real now. We have the accessories. We have all the shipping data confirming that this thing's in mass production. We have Nintendo randomly deciding at an investors meeting to tell us detailed information about Switch 2 before they've even revealed the fucking thing. Why do we know features of the system before we've seen the system? Has that ever I don't think it's ever happened in Nintendo history. They're telling us exact functionality and features of the system before we actually have seen the system. It just doesn't make sense to me because Furukawa's a madman. He told us back in May that it would be revealed before the end of the fiscal year. And now we're sitting here. We're getting up to that last quarter, that last bit where it's going to be revealed in those 3 months. We have indie studios just straight up announcing their games are coming to Switch 2 just because they can. We have we have 3D prints being sent to YouTubers now from accessory makers. And now we have Nate the Hate deciding, you know what, now's the time I'm going to come out of the woodworks and be like, guys, you're all talking about reveals. Yeah, you're probably right. Reveals probably January, early Feb. Yeah. Also, you know what you really want? You want the fucking blowout. Let me tell you when that is. And now I'm fucking hyped. I don't know if I've ever stopped being hyped for Switch 2, but I go through these lulls where it's kind of like, all right. It's just going to be, we're just going to be talking about the same bullshit every day. Another accessory leak, another this. Oh, no, we're talking about an event. Now, all I need is a game leak. Can we get like a game leak, please? Like an actual, like not an indie game. Like, can I even get like a whiff that Elden Ring is coming? Like I get the Nintendo stuff probably won't leak unless Nate the Hate or someone, because he leaked Planet Planet Robobot is coming to Switch next year. That's awesome. I'm really excited for that. That's one of the best Kirby games. I'm really glad it's coming to Switch. But I don't know that he is going to hint or leak any sort of Switch like launch games or something like that for Nintendo. Maybe he doesn't know. But can we get some big AAA third party leaks right now, baby?
Final Fantasy VII.
They leak for everything else. Yeah, dude, Final Fantasy VII being leaked for it would be huge. I mean, we might have Half-Life 3 leaked for the Game Awards tomorrow, for crying out loud.
Final Fantasy 9 remake.
Yeah, there's a rumor out there. Valve is bringing the goods tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
Oh, Half-Life 3. Oh my God. Yes. I saw the rumors too, but it lines up with the idea of the Steam box.
But we'll see.
If you want to create some steam for the Steam box, you announce Half-Life 3, right?
True.
I mean,
it's the way to do it.
Dude. Okay. And I could just sit here and buzz for like 5 hours on this. Eric, is this feeling real for you yet?
God, let's sum it up with what the guy from Frozen said. Hoo-hoo, big summer blowout. Yeah, that's I just want it. I don't know what else to say. I just want it. Give me something, Nintendo. That I'll be satisfied. Just give me something. Jesus, let me see it.
Bro, how's it make you feel?
I like it. This feels like the most solid because I put a lot of faith in PH Brazil, but I also, just because of that April direct claim, was always so half and half on but then he got all my faith back with multiple events getting, moved up. I'm like, okay, this is inside info for sure. And then I had a little bit of hope once again for like that one rumor from the Weeboo user who said January reveal, March launch.
I wanted that to be so true, so bad.
Glimmer of hope. I was like, maybe
there's some
maybe
hope.
that's
There's
the
some
thing.
hope with that, because like you want it to be true.
But I really started thinking about it, and I was like, if Nintendo has even more than one first-party game at launch for this system, I just can't see them having less than 3 months of marketing for it. And maybe, I mean, they can. There's nothing that says that they can't, but I just would be really surprised if they would compress all of that from a January to March window to launch everything. So I was starting to feel like, okay, it's going to still be first half of the year, because I like you have been following very closely all these shipping data reports. That it's funny that people like question these things when it's literally like public information that's out there that's like shows you can see how many units.
And if you guys don't know the website, I know the website now. Like I figured it out.
Like,
I know what website it's from.
The screens are you can see how many panels of and T239 specifically that Nintendo is getting into their warehouses.
You literally
right now.
see Nintendo on the order forms. I mean,
yeah. So things are happening, and then on their own financial report, the work in progress inventory is at a record high. It's never been this high.
And then Foxconn has a record high,
as
well with their completed product number.
So like, seeing all that stuff, I was starting to get, back in the mindset of no way, even in the worst case scenario, this is not a holiday 2025 console. I really don't believe it ever was intended to be or would be. But yeah, hearing this from Nate the Hate, I like it because I'm hoping, I really am thinking it's going to, even though I want it to be an early January reveal, I do think it'll be like an end of January reveal. And it
closer to the investors meeting.
Right, like a week before the investors meeting. And then that's just the first look trailer. Then they go silent for a while. A few months go by. We're at the beginning of May, and then that's when we get the blowout event.
It'll also help lessen the blow if the financial report isn't going to be like that good. Like if they missed their holiday targets.
They're probably going to have to come in there and say they didn't sell as much as they wanted to.
If we missed our holiday targets, it's okay because look what's coming.
That's right. Yeah. And I think they'll highlight software sales, and they'll probably even say, like, we strategically told our consumers that all of the Switch software will be playable on the next gen console, and we maintained good software performance while just dropping down lower than expectations on the Switch hardware sales. So I could see all that happening. And yeah, I'm really curious to see what kind of May event is planned. Like, is it a copy paste from the January thing, or do they do
giant in-person event? Yeah.
Right, but is it that, or do they do like just a Nintendo Switch 2 Direct? Like literally, like here's all your questions answered. It's a digital presentation. Maybe they do have something set up for press and on hands and stuff like that. But maybe that's also the PAX East stuff, and then they have something else over there in Japan.
Like a worldwide tour event. They did that with Switch where they had like quick pop-ups for people to come try it.
Mm-hmm.
What if they do like that again?
Yeah. All that kind of stuff's on the table. But yeah, that May event sounds like that's going to be the big attraction, because that's when we get the, some detailed trailers of the launch games and kind of a little bit of a roadmap of what the launch is going to look like. And then do we still get the June Direct? Like that's going to be, kind of iffy that year, I guess. But,
and here's the thing, like at this point, I've kind of reserved that I kind of think most of these leaks are pretty accurate with like what the Switch 2 looks like. So I'm kind of good with like, okay, yeah, it's going to be, there's some things I don't know and some things I want to go hands on with, but it's just the games now, man.
Yeah.
And that's what even the reveal is going to bring games. We're going to see the launch game in the reveal trailer. It's going to be there.
The games, and the only one question I have left on the hardware is what does the display look like when you're holding it if it's not OLED? Because it is, I'm really curious on a side-by-side comparison to the OLED. Yeah, they could.
If it's LCD, please be laminated like the PlayStation Portal is. It made the screen look so much better.
Yeah.
Please be.
And,
at
and
least
I'm thinking it
animated.
will. I don't think it's going to be a day. It's definitely not going to be a Switch 1 screen. OG Switch 1. You know, it's
Please
not going to be
don't.
that. So
Please, I can't go back to that. I can't.
I couldn't imagine it after the OLED. That's
I
the
mean,
problem.
I
'cause
know that the
literally couldn't
OLED looks
imagine it.
nicer, and I know there'll be a Switch 2 OLED one day. I just give me something better than the original Switch screen.
Right.
Anything, even if it's just a layer of lamination, and that's all it is. I don't care. I can't go back. I was touching the OG Switch the other day because my fiance has it, Yulia, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so bad.
Yeah. It's
Like-
actually day and night whenever you play it one next to the other.
It's
It really is.
It's just, dude, I feel like I'm playing on something from the 90s right now. I'm back at the CRT. What is happening? Like, this is not, it was, and the thing is, I didn't complain. Well, you know, it's one of those, you know, it's bliss when you don't know, right? Ignorance is bliss. Like Eric, he's been on the OG the whole time.
Mhm.
So, like, he hasn't really played a Switch OLED, you know, game next to his.
Nope.
No, does he know OLED looks a lot better? Of course he does, because he knows stuff about tech. But,
Yeah.
you know, if he started playing his game on here and then went back to his, he'd be like, ah, fuck.
Yeah.
I'll still wait for Switch 2, but
I mean, yeah.
fuck. Like,
Yeah.
damn, it is a lot better looking. That was one thing that was really cool because I got the OLED like a week early, and that was one of the biggest videos I did was people just seeing the difference and how the games look. I'm like,
That's
yeah,
right,
they don't
yeah.
play different. It's not about what they play like; it's what it feels and looks like when you're playing. It is night and day, just night and day with the colors and everything. Anyway, so yeah, I know. Okay, going back to LCD, fine, but be better. Please don't be the cheap dog shit LCDs. Please be better than that. I know they're going to be cheap. I just don't be the cheapest. Please.
Here's a question I just thought of as we were talking about like a January reveal, right? If they reveal it in January, do we then still get a February Nintendo Direct? And if we
Yes.
do get a February Direct, do they start showing Switch 2 games now that they've announced that it's coming and they can say, here's like not necessarily anything massive that would be in the May event, but you could start like trickling some
I-
third-party stuff in there.
I think it's going to be so. PH Brazil has already started teasing. There's going to be some sort of direct in February, which isn't a surprise, right? It's a normal direct month. He's kind of leaning towards it being like a third party one, but he doesn't know. I think what will happen if they announce it, the Switch 2 before that direct is I think it's still going to mostly be like a Switch direct, kind of like just kind of hey, let's line up our games heading up to Switch 2's launch. So like, hey, here's your you know your April, your May, your June Switch games or whatever, third party or otherwise. But I think one thing they're going to do because Switch 2 has been announced at that point is they can also talk about if there's enhancements for the new system and what that is like. Because Nintendo did say they have to explain something about backwards compatibility to us, and they will explain it to us at a later date. And what that something is, people are presuming, okay, backwards compatibility is pretty obvious, right? You put your Switch cartridge in, you play the game. You download your game, you play it. Backwards compatibility is pretty straightforward. It works just like your current Switch. So what do you have to explain? Unless there's something else. And that could be maybe when that explanation comes. They explain that something else in that direct while still only really being about Switch 1 games.
It's possible. See, I think if it's a partner direct, then it's all Switch 1 focused. But if it's a
For sure.
mainline direct, maybe with like one first party title like Endless Ocean, like we saw that happen last year. But if it's a mainline direct, but then at that point, I think it's maybe not the most overwhelming direct with a bunch of Switch 2 games in February, but the show closers, the 3D Mario or something like that. You know, like that's what I think. Like I think we get the rest of the launch lineup for, you know, the rest of the cycle of Switch 1 releases leading into Switch 2, but then the show closers 3D Mario. Imagine. I could see something like them. That's their one more big thing. I don't know though. I'm not getting my hopes up on anything until I see what kind of
I might
direct it is.
cry the moment we see 3D Mario. There might be a tear.
I can't wait for it.
I can't. That team, the magic they do every goddamn time. Dude,
And
go back and look at Galaxy 1 and 2 on Wii and just like they did that on fucking Wii. What the fuck are they gonna do now? This is I'm gonna that team. Dude, some of Nintendo's teams just make magic happen. I'm gonna feel the same way when they show Zelda for the first time in a couple of years. Like the first Monolith Soft game and what they can do now that they have some real power to do what they are. They're the team that I always felt like we're limited by the power. Okay, so a lot of those limits are gone now. What the fuck are you going to do? I can't wait to see what that company does. The next Xenoblade and what that could look like, or whatever that, maybe the new IP that they've been working on for a while. Oh man, so, Thunderstash, what are you feeling about this stuff?
As far as the release date with June, I mean, I can get behind that. I don't see why not. I think summer's good. If you look back in the history, the GBA launched in June.
Yeah.
June 11th. The GBA did very well. It was as iterative as it gets. Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. Nintendo to Super Nintendo. Switch to Switch 2. I could see that. Would I like it sooner? Sure.
Yeah,
But I could definitely see June.
Also, that's still in their first fiscal quarter. So it's still like kind of at Nintendo's beginning of their financial year. And it allows it, because it's probably going to sell out, right? Like, all new devices, even Wii U sold out, right? So it's probably going to sell out. It also allows them to have 2 sellout periods in the first, even calendar year. You have that and then holiday.
Yeah.
So, and do they put Mario Kart in holiday?
I think Mario Kart
That should be the
And
That
holiday.
would be
3D
a sick
Mario.
holiday game.
is coming out within that launch window, which, again, Nintendo's launch window is 6 to 9 months. So I expect one at launch and one as the big holiday game. Which one it is, I don't know. I would presume
It'll be
It
a
would be-
holiday bundle already.
it would be 3D Mario at launch, right? But it could be Mario Kart. They've never done that. The closest they came was Switch 1. And again, it was never planned that way, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. It should be really interesting.
Just
As far as
wild.
those LCD screens, I was like just reading up on some of the advancements, right, that have been made in LCD tech
Mhm.
since the Switch 1. I think we still get a really nice screen
Yeah.
without going over all these details. I think we still get a very nice screen, and if for some reason it's not, there's always other alternatives. I'm sure you guys have seen like the OLED Switch Lite, right?
Yep.
Yeah. There's ways you can customize.
So
anything,
yeah, if you really want to customize,
give it like a
you
month,
can.
there'll be some third party OLED screen you can already buy for it. And
Exactly.
dude, I'm gonna have to do that. World's first OLED Switch 2. Oh boy, you guys should know that since I had the Switch OLED early, I broke that one. I was trying to confirm something and I broke it and made a whole video on it. And everyone called me a dumbass, and I'm saying, "Yep, sure am." I did not have the proper stuff to take the screen off. I knew it. I knew it was gonna break. I literally knew it when I did it on live stream. I'm like, "This is gonna break," and it's broken. Well, still works in dock mode. Anyways, yeah, I literally broke it. I knew it was. I'm like, God, I just do not have the right stuff for this. I used to work at a repair shop, so like they had the right. You don't even need that much. It's basically some heat, and it maybe a little bit of picks, and then you just use like a suction gun. It's really not that hard, but I don't know. I just for some reason couldn't go to Walmart. That being said, I think we could probably wrap that up there. There's just so much we could talk about with Switch 2, and a lot of it at this point, there's going to be more leaks and rumors and stuff that happen. Obviously, the rumors I want to start hearing about our games. We do have the Game Awards coming up. The Game Awards has not happened at the time of this show, so that's why we kind of avoided talking about that, because literally anything we talk about, it's irrelevant less than 24 hours later. So it was no point in really diving into that. There's obviously the potential that technically this conversation's irrelevant and Switch 2 gets teased at the Game Awards. Very, very low chance. But Furukawa's a mad lad. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's cooking. So who the hell knows? He did say there would be phases to the Switch 2, and maybe that's phase 1. Little tease there. January full reveal. Big event in May. I don't know. Maybe that's what he's doing. There's people that predict that Nintendo may not even reveal the system there, but there'll be like a little 10-second thing and it's just the new logo. And all of a sudden it's just dropped in every fucking third-party trailer.
I like that idea.
That would be wild. There you're not even showing the system. You're just, here's the name.
It would be so nice to have a logo before we watch all these other third-party games get unveiled that we have to speculate on whether or not they're headed to Nintendo
The
Switch
entire
2.
show, literally, because me, Stash, and Eric are going to be streaming it together. Literally, every big AAA third-party game they're going to show, the number one question is going to be, so you think this is on Switch 2?
Yeah.
Right. I know.
Like, please be on Switch 2. You're on Switch. Oh, that's definitely a Switch 2 footage.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I think we're gonna see a lot of that actually.
So like, it would be nice if Nintendo would do a solid and like drop a little teaser logo at like the beginning of the show. It would, or even before the show. Nintendo, you want to one up them and announce the logo during the day. I'm cool with that. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think we're getting anything Switch 2 tomorrow unless third parties are being wild and putting Nintendo logos in all their games because they can't put the Switch 2 logo. They start doing the Yuka Replayly thing. Hey, coming to PS5, Xbox, and Nintendo. Like, that could happen, by the way, guys. That would be technically Switch 2 news in the middle of the Game Awards. That
that trailer is still up.
Oh yeah.
It would need to show all those Nintendo logos and then just cut to Doug Bowser's face every time, and just like see what he's looking like.
I would laugh. I would laugh.
That would be good.
Dude, I would laugh if someone with the Nintendo logo and then they cut the Doug Bowser just to see.
Yeah.
Like, is he shocked that that's happening, or is he just grinning because he just knows? That would be hilarious if they never cut the Doug Bowser. If a Nintendo logo pops up like that, that's clearly Switch 2, and they never cut the Doug Bowser. Like, dude, the cameraman needs to be fired. Who's ever in the back of the Switch room? Come on, that's a beautiful moment just to see if he's shocked.
Seriously.
Because everyone wants to know, is Nintendo mad that Nintendo logos are popping up like this? Or do they just not give a shit? Because it's copyright logo, by the way. You can't just freely use their copyright logo. I know you might go, but you use it in thumbnails. Yeah, and Nintendo can contact me and tell me to stop anytime. It's theirs. So, and these are businesses selling a product. So, pretty wild. Anyways, so there could be Switch 2 stuff in it. We obviously don't know at this point. But yeah, that's just like a minor note. It's kind of like the last time that there's any even minute hope of a Switch 2 anything would be the game. I can't foresee them announcing anything afterwards before Christmas. So anyway, so there's that. And by the way, for those that hold out the hope, it's only because Furukawa still couldn't just say, oh yeah, we'll talk about it in the last quarter of our fiscal year. Nope, still had to say, nope, sometime this fiscal year. Oh, hey, we don't think it'll hurt holiday sales if we do. Can you just shut up? You're either revealing it in the last part of the fiscal year or you're not. Can we just clarify this? Stop beating around the bush, Furukawa. You could just ease everyone's mind for months with one word. No, we're gonna keep you thinking it's happening every day. That's just. I think he might be having a little fun with it at this point. I think he's enjoying the speculation and people just is it going to be at the Game Awards? I don't know, but keep the conversation going and keep hyping our system.